Hi, I'm Genevieve from North Carolina, and I have a great story to tell you about my best friend. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe. Ever since we were little, my best friend Olivia and I have been inseparable. We were more like sisters than friends, spending all our time at each other's houses. It was when we were 10 years old that the story really began, although it would take us years to really understand how the pieces fit together. We were playing in my room one day, and when Olivia went to the kitchen to get some water, I thought it would be funny to jump out and scare her when she came back. So I hid behind my door, and when I heard her coming, ah! She screamed and I laughed. And then I saw the glass of water fall. Olivia! She collapsed beside the puddle on the floor. At the hospital, we learned that she had a rare heart condition. There in the hospital, I vowed to never let anything hurt her again. Don't worry, sis. I will protect you. Always. We went to the same schools growing up, and by high school, she had become incredibly beautiful. Yet there was always something fragile about her, breakable. It caused her to be shy, more reserved, rarely speaking up for herself. So I did it for her. When she collapsed sophomore year in gym class, I carried her to the nurse's office. When a group of mean girls decided she would be an easy target, I protected her. Even in my room studying, I was always watching over her, making sure she would be okay. I still had that picture in my mind of that water glass falling. Although many years had passed, I had never really forgiven myself for that day. And then, the summer before our senior year, we got the best news. Olivia was eligible for an experimental heart treatment program, one that gave her a real chance at finally having a normal life. I ran over to her house to celebrate with her, but when I found her in her room, she didn't seem excited at all. She was lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Shouldn't you be packing? It's in California, Genevieve, and I have to stay there for 6 months. I'll miss almost all of senior year, but it's so worth it. It's not guaranteed. They said 50% success rate. That's better than 0, right? Right. What's going on, Olivia? There's something else. She looked at me, then, with this faraway gaze in her eyes, do you believe in love at first sight? Sure, I guess. But what does that have to do with your treatment? I met someone, Genevieve, and I think he could be the one. She started to tell me about earlier that day when her parents took her to her favorite cafe to celebrate. There was a new boy working there, and when their eyes met, I felt this wave rush over me. I had to look away to keep my heart from racing. She noticed that he was paying special attention to their table. At the end of the meal, she decided to finally do something bold and told her parents she would walk home, that she wanted to enjoy some time to herself before packing. That's when he came over and sat across the table. Genevieve, it was unlike anything I have ever experienced in my life. He just moved here with his mom, and he was working during the summer before school starts. And he's going to our school. That's great, Olivia. You don't understand. I was so caught up in the moment that I never even told him my name, never exchanged numbers. I got all the way home before I realized. All I remember is his name tag, Marcus. And now I have to leave, and it's all happening too fast. It's okay. It'll be okay. We can figure this out together. But you have to go to California. Will you do something for me? Of course, anything. Will you find him at school? Get to know him. Tell me everything. So when you come back, it'll be perfect. Olivia left for California, and soon it was time to start school again. I wanted to learn more about Olivia's crush, but deep down, I was most excited because I was taking a film class as my senior elective. Ever since my parents bought me that camcorder for my 11th birthday, I was always thinking about movies, writing scripts, filming interesting things that I saw, and interviewing my friends. Now, I finally got to learn the techniques in the craft in a class that only seniors could apply to get into. As a bonus, it was the last class of the day. I was listening to my teacher lecture about scene composition when I heard a whisper beside me. Hey, yes? My friend and I already have a short movie planned out, and we need a girl lead. Want to join? I'm more of a director. Please? If you quit talking to me, then fine. Great. A few minutes later, he was back again. Hey. What? My name's Jacob. Great. What's yours? I finally took a moment to turn and look at him. And when I did, well, maybe Olivia was right about love. He was impossibly handsome. Dark brown hair, emerald eyes that pulled me in, like I was being truly seen for the first time. Genevieve. He smiled at me, and I forgot the rest of the lecture. After class, he waited for me outside and introduced me to his friend. This is Marcus. I could see why Olivia would fall for him. He was tall and confident, and when he smiled, I found myself smiling. He had a way of putting people at ease, as I would discover, a calming presence that would be perfect for Olivia. That semester, the three of us went everywhere together. At first, it was just to work on our film project, but even after we finished the first movie, we would eat lunch in the cafeteria, hang out after school, study together, and the whole time, I was learning everything I could about Marcus. At night, I would go home and send messages to Olivia, describing him and how perfect they would be together, and of course, telling her how much I missed her. I didn't tell her about Jacob. At the time, I wasn't sure what to say. She was pretty weak from the treatment at first, but soon she began to recover. It seemed as though the treatment was going to be a success after all. Before I knew it, she was talking about getting ready to come home. She told me the good news over the phone. I'll be home just in time for winter break. There is so much we have to discuss. I guess I shouldn't have been so surprised when the day before winter break, Jacob stopped me after school. So, how long have you been in love with Marcus? Excuse me? You think I don't notice the way you talk to him? The other day, you asked him to describe his perfect date night, and I could have sworn I saw you scribbling it down in your notebook, pretending you were doing the science homework. What can I say? I take an interest in other people. It makes me a better filmmaker. Why don't you ask me those questions then? Fine. What's your perfect date night? Why don't I show you? That Friday night, Jacob met me in the small cafe downtown for dinner. It was incredible to see him all dressed up, and as we sat together in the warm cafe, safe from the dark and cold night outside, I realized that even though he seemed confident and charming, he was nervous. He talked a lot more than usual, and his words ran together all in a breath. I love coming here. It belongs to Marcus and his family, and so I come here all the time, and I hope you like it too, but if you don't, then we can probably just find another place. It's just that you said to describe the perfect date, and I saw this place in my mind, and even last summer I used to... Jacob. Yes? You don't have to be nervous around me. Nervous? Who's nervous? I like you. Really? Because every time you talk, it's about Marcus. We aren't talking about him now, are we? He smiled that perfect, gorgeous smile. No, we're not. After dinner, he walked me home, wrapping his arm around me to keep me warm. I could have lived in that moment forever. With the soft glow of the streetlights and the quiet homes, we reached my house and stood on the porch. I had a wonderful time, Jacob. And about Marcus, there is something I need to tell you. First, I need to tell you something. I am falling for you, Genevieve. I have fallen for you. The truth is, we could have gone anywhere, and it would have been the perfect date. All I needed was you. He pulled me in and kissed me. We didn't even hear the front door open. Surprise! I couldn't believe it. There she was, home again. My best friend. I cried and reached out my arms. Olivia, I can't believe you're here. But that's when I noticed she was staring at Jacob, and then at me. Her arms dropped. What is this? Oh, of course, this is... But before I could get the words out, Jacob spoke first. It's you. It's me. I never thought I would see you again. Clearly. Wait, do you know each other? Come on, Genevieve. Don't treat me like I'm stupid. I ask you to get to know Marcus, and then you go and date him? Marcus? I can explain. That day in the cafe, I was new on the job. I didn't have my uniform yet. Marcus let me borrow his. So you're not... I'm Jacob. And now you two... Olivia, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. It's fine. But she didn't finish her thought. She suddenly burst into tears and ran from my house. I'm sorry. I should have told you. I wanted to. I need to go. The winter break and spring semester were a blur. I didn't know what to say to Jacob anymore. Everything seemed to have gone so wrong. Without meaning to, I had hurt my best friend again. She didn't return to school in the spring, and her parents said that it would be best if she completed high school at home while she was still recovering. I stopped by so many times after school to check on her, but each time her mother answered the door telling me that Olivia wasn't up to seeing visitors today. That's what I had become, a visitor, a stranger in her home. Walking away, I looked at her second-story bedroom window and saw the curtain slowly close. I buried myself in my work, getting good grades and even getting accepted into film school after I graduated. I learned that Jacob would be going to the same school, but things were not the same between us. We hardly spoke and mostly kept our distance. Then, it was summer again. One day, there was a knock at my door. To my complete astonishment, it was Olivia. I am so sorry, Olivia. No, this time, I need to apologize. That day, she told me everything. About the treatment program, about her recovery, about how it felt to see me together with Jacob. She felt abandoned and alone, like her life had stopped moving after she returned to California, but everyone else's had kept going. But then she started taking walks in the evening, always going the same way, always stopping by the cafe, half hoping and half dreading that she would run into Jacob. That's when I met Marcus, the real Marcus. They had started talking every night. She realized that although she had shared a perfect night with Jacob, it was Marcus that she was falling for. Everything I had told her about him and all the conversations they had, they just fit together perfectly. Maybe it wasn't love at first sight, but I believe now that there are so many different ways to fall in love. It's not always going to be like the movies. So, you don't hate me? Of course I don't hate you. I was angry with you. And then I needed to spend some time away from you. Not because I hate you, but because I had to learn how to live with myself, how to stand up for what I want. Our whole lives, you have been there for me, and I love you for that. But I can't ask you to do that forever. It's not fair to either of us. She was right, and for the first time, she didn't seem fragile to me, breakable. She was strong and confident, and at peace. I went away to film school and reconnected with Jacob, and Olivia and Marcus stayed close to home and attended the local university, meeting up at the cafe every night to study and talk. After college, she was the maid of honor at my wedding, and I was at hers when she and Marcus said I do. It was a long road, but Olivia got the ending she deserves, and the perfect man to take care of her beautiful, unbreakable heart. And as for Jacob and me, our story was always a love story, and even though we are older now and our 2 kids have left the house to start lives of their own, we continue to add new chapters, new scenes, to the best movie we could have possibly made. Hi friends, I'm Jana from Pennsylvania. Please like and subscribe. I grew up happy. My dad worked in marketing and my mom was a teacher. We had a beautiful big home, white picket fence, even a dog named Biscuit. Every birthday I got a huge party, and every summer we stayed at a house by the lake. My friends and I spent every moment together. Everything was wonderful. Then my dad lost his job. Suddenly, everything in my life became horrible. We had to sell our beautiful house, and I said goodbye to all my childhood friends since we moved to a completely different state. Our new place was a tiny little apartment. On the first day there, I saw rats. They didn't allow animals either, so we had to give Biscuit to a friend. Dad had to take on 2 jobs, and my parents began to fight all the time. I went from being happy in every part of my life to just wanting to be someone else. Without my friends or parents around, I turned to basically just watching TV. Everyone there seemed to have the perfect life. Beautiful apartments, sparkly dresses, fun parties, and friends. They also had something else in common. They all moved to New York to start a new life of glitz and glamour. Maybe if I went to New York, I could be someone totally new too. As soon as I turned 15, I started working at the local ice cream shop. I saved every single penny, smiling even as the rudest people came into the store.
This strawberry ice cream is too pink. My kid dropped his ice cream. We want a new one.
This is melting. I want my money back. It didn't matter what they said to me. All I cared about was saving for my new life. Slowly, my savings started to add up. By the time I turned 16, I had enough for a weekend in New York. I knew I couldn't have a whole new life yet, but for now, a weekend would be enough. I finally told my parents on the morning of my birthday. I'm going to New York for the weekend.
New York? That's so expensive. We can't pay for that, honey.
I saved up from the ice cream shop.
Okay, but call us every day, okay?
Yeah, sure, whatever. They dropped me off at the train station, and I was off. I was so excited to finally be on my own, and knew that at least for the weekend, I could be whoever I wanted. New York was so exciting. I could go wherever and do whatever. I tried on dresses at a fancy department store. I bought a hot dog from someone off the street, then got sick an hour later. But it was okay. I was living my dream. Finally, I went to the hotel I booked. I dreamed of gold chandeliers and well-dressed doormen and expensive steak dinners the whole train ride here. Instead, I got this. The hotel was tiny, dirty. Flies buzzed in the lobby. I didn't even have my own room. It was filled with other people and I just had a single bed. I think there's been a mistake.
Nope, this is what you booked. Welcome to New York.
This was not what I imagined my New York trip would be like, but it was all I could afford. Even in my dream city, I was still the same person and my life hadn't changed at all. Suddenly, New York didn't seem that great. It was smelly and dirty, and there were way too many people.
Hey, watch where you're going. Who are you looking at?
Nothing, Hey! Someone bumped right into me and I nearly fell over. As I stood up, I realized he had stolen my wallet. I ran after the thief, but after a few minutes, he was gone. Now I didn't have anything. It was all too much. People were so mean. I started to cry in the middle of the street, and people began staring and pointing. It was so incredibly embarrassing. Finally, I decided to just go into the nearest building to get away from everything. Wow. This was the hotel of my dreams. Big, beautiful chandeliers, doormen in fancy suits, rich women drinking champagne and dressed in sparkling gowns. This is who I wanted to be. I was so enchanted by everything that I ran headfirst into someone. Ow!
Elena.
Huh? That wasn't my name. This man must have confused me with someone.
Where have you been? You can't just run off without telling someone.
Who even are you?
I'm Stefan. Your parents sent me to make sure you stayed safe. You have to tell me when you leave the hotel. Come, let's go back to your room.
My room? The one with the bed surrounded by other strangers and mice? It was the last place I wanted to be other than home. I almost ran. Then I noticed that Stefan wasn't taking me out of the building at all. Instead, he was taking me further into the hotel. I was shocked as I stepped into an elevator completely made of gold. It whisked us away so high and so fast, I almost got sick. It felt like we were flying. The elevator doors opened directly to a hotel room. No, not a hotel room, a penthouse. This is my room?
I know it's not big enough, but you have to deal with it for now. And again, if you want to leave, you just have to ask. Your dad just wants to make sure you're okay.
Not big enough? This place was a palace. Stefan left, and I had the whole room to myself. The bathroom was all marble with a built-in hot tub. The TV was huge, bigger than I was, and there were so many chandeliers, I lost count. Even the bed was luxurious, so tall and soft I could barely even climb on. Who the heck had such a nice hotel room? I knew I should have told him he had the wrong person, that I wasn't Elena and I didn't belong here. But then again, this was exactly what I had dreamed of. My stomach started growling, and I decided I would have to figure all that out later, after some free food. I raided the mini fridge in the room, snacking on soda and chips. I even ordered room service. By the time I was done, I was almost gonna fall over. Life had never been this good. My phone rang and I saw it was my parents. All I could think about was the fighting and the rats and losing our sweet biscuit. I hung up on them and decided I couldn't go back there, ever. I would stay in New York and start my life now, even if I had to take over this Elena girl's life to do it. I looked around and found her diary and laptop. I opened the laptop and, is that me? Suddenly, I realized who she was. Elena, a famous actress. My friends used to joke that she was my alter ego. Jaina and Elena sounded similar after all, except while Elena was living a perfect life, I was stuck with nothing at all. Elena would probably be back soon. If they caught me in the room, I would get in huge trouble. I had to get out of here before I was arrested or kicked out. But maybe I could go with a little something extra since my wallet was stolen after all. After changing into Elena's clothes, I told Stefan I was going shopping. He insisted on coming with me. When we got to the store, I said, I forgot my card. He just sighed and handed me the money, no questions asked. It was more cash than I had ever seen in my life. With this kind of money, I didn't have to go back to Pennsylvania at all. I grabbed a bunch of clothes and told him I was going to try them on, but as soon as I was out of view, I made a run for it. Maybe New York hadn't been that great at first, but things were going to be different now. Or so I thought. I hadn't even walked more than a few blocks when I realized I had forgotten my phone. But that was the least of my problems because suddenly someone grabbed me from behind and everything turned dark. I woke up a few hours later, feeling dizzy and confused. Where am I? You! Hey, you! I looked around and saw a girl staring at me from across the room, but she was in total dark so I couldn't see her. What are you doing here? I don't even know where here is. I don't even know who you are. Well, I've been kidnapped. It happens a lot, to people like me. What I don't understand is why you're here. I've never been kidnapped with other people before. Oh my god, does that mean I'm not special? She stepped into the light and I realized, Elena? That's me. Now, who in the world are you? I'm Jaina. Jaina. You seem familiar, but I don't remember meeting you at a party or a ball. We look a bit alike. As if I could never have such ratty, dull hair. Or put together an outfit that horrible. Horrible? It's your jacket. Oh my god, it is. You're stealing from me? What? No, well, kind of. Are you working with the kidnappers? No, Stefan thought it was you. Ugh, I can't believe he mistook you for me. That's so gross. I was starting to get mad. This girl was so rude. We have bigger problems here. Maybe you get kidnapped a lot, but I definitely don't. I'm gonna get out of here, with or without you. Now, are you gonna help me or not? Elena stared at me for a long moment. Fine, but only so I can yell at Stefan. The two of us sat down and hatched a plan. The kidnappers come to check on us every few hours. They have to unlock the door, which means we can escape. How about I pretend to be hurt so they have to come all the way in? Then you can knock them out. I'm the actress. You knock them out. Ugh, fine, okay, then what? We have to tell someone where we are. How the heck are we gonna do that? We gotta steal a phone. Suddenly, our planning was interrupted by something outside the basement. We eavesdropped through the door. What are they saying? They don't know which one of us is actually famous. That's why they kidnapped us both. We only have a little time then. Once they figure out which one of us is the real Elena, who knows what they'll do? Probably wonder how they could possibly have been so dumb to think someone like you could be someone like me. That kinda hurts, Oh, sorry. I'm not very good with people. They usually just want my money or a picture with me. No one really talks to me except the bodyguards. That sounds terrible. I'm sorry. I gave Elena a big hug and she began to tear up. I actually liked things better when we didn't have money.
Really?
Yeah, my dad doesn't care about me anymore. That's why I keep letting myself get kidnapped.
All my dad does is work and fight with my mom.
I don't think it's the same.
They care about you, right? Right.
My dad doesn't even remember my birthday. Elena looked very sad. I felt guilty about not answering my parents' call earlier that day. I knew Elena would do anything to have her dad call her. Suddenly, we heard footsteps in the hallway. Quick, the plan. I hid behind the door while Elena retreated to a far corner. She started crying and pretending that she was hurt. It felt like it was straight out of a movie. One kidnapper entered the room and looked concerned. As he walked towards Elena, I used the chair and hit him. He was knocked right out. I rummaged through his jacket until I found his phone. Got it! We dialed 911. Then quietly, Elena and I tiptoed up the stairs and out of the basement. We took off our shoes to be extra quiet and snuck past one of the kidnappers snoring on the couch. We were almost out the door when someone suddenly shouted,
Hey, they're getting away!
One of them ran and blocked off our exit and reached out to grab us. Elena and I ran in opposite directions. We ran into the dining room. I started throwing everything I could find. A fork, a napkin, a frying pan. Throw your shoes! These are designer! You matter more than your shoes! I grabbed a plate from the dining table and chucked it at the kidnapper. It shattered against his head and took him down. Go, go, go! Elena sprinted to the door. To freedom! Yes!
Not so fast, girlie.
The last kidnapper grabbed me by the arm, yanking me away before I could make it out. That hurts!
You're coming with me. I'll get that ransom if it's the last thing I do.
Jana! Elena was standing in the doorway, frozen in fear. Why hadn't she left yet? Go! I won't leave you! Suddenly, the front door came down entirely.
Give us our daughter back.
Dad! Mom! I was so relieved to see them. I almost started crying. Behind them, I could hear the sirens. The police were on their way. The kidnapper's grip on my arm tightened.
Where's our money? Your money? How about our daughter? You're not getting her back without it. Ow!
Elena grabbed me and dragged me away from the kidnapper. Come on, Jaina, let's go! You threw the shoes! Of course I did. You matter way more than shoes.
Police, hands up!
And just like that, the police came and arrested all of the kidnappers. They told us that they would be going away for a very, very long time. My parents wouldn't let me go, constantly hugging me and making sure I was okay. How did you know I was kidnapped?
You left your phone at the hotel. Stefan called us when the kidnappers demanded they pay up for both girls, and we realized that they had you too. We should have never let you go into the city alone.
I didn't think you cared.
We love you so much, Jaina. Maybe we're not the best at showing it, but at the end of the day, you're our daughter. We might not have a lot of money, but we would give anything for you.
I love you too. Let's go home. I smiled at my parents, but I noticed that Elena started to look really sad. Her parents hadn't come at all. It was only Stefan. Are you gonna be okay? I'll be fine. I just wished my family cared as much as yours did. You know, friends can be family too. We smiled at each other, and I reached out and squeezed Elena's hand. Come visit me in Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania? I would love that.